if you can be a source of inspiration for somebody younger than you, and really drag them along throughout the process and show them the ups and downs that you've gone through, they will believe that they can do it too. So part of my goal setting is striving to be the greatest version of me that I can be, but also reaching back to the generation of girls behind me, so that they can get there too, because I ultimately would not have the opportunities that I have today without the women that were pioneers in women's soccer. One of the role models for me growing up was Crystal Dunn. She looked like me. She had a plethora of amazing qualities. I said had, but I mean has. And she's still showing those in the NWSL and with the national team. And I'm excited for her return after her pregnancy. But I could see myself in her, and I wanted to be like her. I wanted to carry on her legacy at Carolina, and even with the national team.
Obviously, you grew up in North Carolina. I'm also a North Carolina native. Talk to me about growing up in North Carolina and playing.
We were always at soccer games. We kind of lived and breathed the game, and one of the cool things I loved about growing up was the pickup culture in Durham, Chapel Hill. There's so many people from so many different walks of life. I want pickup culture to be a thing in America, and one of the things that I saw,
you and me both,
growing up, yeah, but like growing up in like a suburban area in North Carolina, like, yes, I was fortunate to have it in Durham, North Carolina, but I struggle with it because there's access to fields. Like, can we leave them open so that kids can go on them at 10 o'clock at night and go play a game of pickup? The reason why other countries such as Spain or France or England, whoever you want, name it, like, they have a pickup culture where everybody lives and breathes the game.
As a young player, how do you soak in what you can get from these incredible players, both at Gotham and at North Carolina?
I mean, you've got Carly Lloyd, who's done quite literally everything in the women's game. So she was there, and it was cool to just like hear about her journey. And even players like Estelle Johnson, like, she's tough as nails, and just her leadership from the back was just so impressive. And the way she cared for all of her teammates and established a relationship with them allowed you to see that her direction on the field was coming from a place of love. So I'm just really, really grateful for how dynamic and fearless they were, because they've set a standard that have allowed this game to progress to a world-class level.
Well, that was just a fantastic interview, Aaron. It was brilliant to hear from Brianna there and her passion for growing the game at such a young age. What were some of the biggest takeaways from your conversation with her?
Yeah, it's just, as young as she is, like, how forward-thinking she is. When I was 22 years old, she just turned 22 like last month. When I was 22 years old, I was not really thinking about forging the path for those behind me. I was just trying to figure out my own life. But she's so well poised. She understands exactly who she is, who she wants to be. Such a fantastic player, a brilliant young player. I think is going to be a fixture in the national team for years to come. I think she has all the tools to be a great pro and the right mindset. And just, I was so impressed. I knew Brianna before this, but speaking to her in a professional capacity, I was so impressed with her as a person.
Yeah, she talked about her inspirations as well, but no doubt she's an inspiration for so many that are to follow already. Lisa, you're so involved in the league. I mean, what's the buzz around her, not only what she brings on the pitch, but off it as well?
I think Aaron said it best. Her awareness for the role that she is in. She was drafted in 2021 to Gotham FC and played just under 200 minutes, but that didn't deter her from continuing to progress on the field in her skill set and what she was able to do in the offseason, then traded to North Carolina Courage. And in that first match that the Courage played against Gotham, she ends up getting a goal in that game. And that's a huge statement from such a young player at just 22 years old. When she's on the pitch, it's her movement on and off the ball. She has really good vision of the field to be able to play those connecting passes. As a midfielder, she works on both sides of the ball, and she works so tirelessly throughout the entirety of a game. And now at North Carolina, we've seen Brianna grow as a player throughout the Challenge Cup and now throughout these first several weeks of the NWSL season. And it's playing alongside players like Dabinia and Abby Urseg in the back line and Casey Murphy, who's a fixture for the U.S. national team as a goalkeeper. She's learning from these veteran players, and you can tell that that's translating not only on the pitch, but also in the locker room, and how well that she believes in herself to get to the next level. And of course, helping those behind her at 22 years old. It's really impressive to watch.
Yeah, she really is learning from the very best, isn't she? Laurie, you played collegiately and professionally. As Lisa just said, she was one of the top prospects coming out of college, drafted 3rd overall. What are the next steps for her, though, in the pro ranks to become a star at this next level, do you think?
Yeah, ultimately, I think it's just about staying the course, because as Aaron and Lisa have said, I think sometimes we forget how young she is, just turning 22 last month. She also left school early to play professionally, and then joining Gotham. And as Lisa mentioned, didn't get a ton of playing time. So this is almost her rookie year, getting a lot of numbers or a lot of minutes under her belt. And she has all of the qualities in terms of being able to play in tight spaces. There's a sophistication to her game to be able to play a final pass. She can also play in a deep lying midfield role as well. So really for Brianna, it's just about staying the course and getting the experience at this level, which is sometimes it's just difficult. And now that she's getting it, she's proving how well she can do. It's for North Carolina, it's a position that they need, and especially with players going to be gone for international level, I think this is an opportunity for her to even showcase even more and then lead in a role that she hasn't yet at this level. So and the opportunities are going to come if she so desires to play at that level.
There's always so much to talk about her on the pitch, isn't there? But for the players as a whole, Aaron, it seems that so many of them are now using their platform off the pitch in such a positive way. I mean, what are your thoughts on what we've seen from these professionals and what they're doing to really help those next generations to come?
Yeah, I think especially for this younger generation, this newer generation, so many of them are basically forced into the public spotlight. When I was coming up, I didn't have social media when I was that young. I'm one of the older heads. So to be like in that public spotlight for so long and so early, it's a lot of pressure, and they're dealing with it so well. I spoke with Sophia Smith, obviously Brianna Pinto, talking about mental health awareness, talking about being under the spotlight. They're dealing with it incredibly. I think they're very, very well poised young women. They're incredibly intelligent, and they know exactly what they're doing. But the crazy thing for me is they're not just thinking about themselves, like you mentioned. They're wanting to pave the path for other younger players who are coming after them. They want to make the sport a better place for everyone, and it's a lot of selflessness that I think is wildly impressive.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. And, I've had the experience of being around Brianna outside of the playing field on the Athletes Council. And, Aaron makes a good point in leaving the game in a better place. And that's what I took from this interview, is just her willingness and desire to show up as her authentic self, leave the game in a better place, learn from the players that came before her. She mentioned Crystal and Estelle. And that's a lot on these young players' shoulders, but to show up and just with the confidence that she has. And, and what's interesting about Brianna is the vast experience she has as well. I mean, in the interview, she talks about kind of that informal training of pickup, but then also she's played in all the youth national teams, and she's even had some glimpses with the full national team already. So all of those experiences are really just going to help continue to showcase who she is as a person, and that will come out on the field. But obviously, we're already seeing that off the field in such an important way.
So many times we look at these young players and we see that they just have talent. And yes, it is talent that gets them to this point, but it's so much hard work that it takes, and on and off the pitch. And we've seen that from Brianna and what she was able to do coming out of college early, entering the NWSL draft, at her time with Gotham, and now specifically her time with North Carolina. But in addition to talent and hard work, it's the belief in yourself. And that's one thing I really took from this interview with Brianna and Aaron, is that she believes in herself, and she knows it's not always easy, and there are going to be moments of adversity, and she's accustomed to that. And she's saying that she needs to show the younger people coming up behind her that there are good moments, but there also are bad moments, and to power through those and have that belief in yourself is one of the two big goals she's setting for herself, is to be the best that she can be. She's not trying to be like Crystal Dunn. She's just using Crystal Dunn as a point in her guidance that can help her get to where Brianna needs to be as the best. And having that authentic self understanding and self-awareness from Brianna at such a young age is truly incredible, and means that if she wants to take it to the next level, I firmly believe in herself, and she believes in herself, and she will do that.
Yeah, well said, all of you. It was a fantastic interview, and you can watch it on the Attacking Third YouTube channel. And for more on the NWSL and women's football, be sure to download and subscribe to the Attacking Third podcast with our very own Lisa Roman and Sandra Herrera, and plenty of guests. That's the Attacking Third podcast. It's a great listen, so make sure you download and subscribe today.